What is virtue ethics? Virtue ethics is an approach to ethics that emphasizes an individual's character as the key element of ethical thinking rather than rules about the acts themselves or their consequences. Virtue ethics is a philosophy developed by Aristotle and other ancient Greeks. It is the quest to understand and live a life of moral character. This means that this character based approach to morality assumes that we acquire virtue through practice. According to Aristotle, by honing virtuous habits, people will likely make the right choice when faced with ethical challenges. Virtues for Aristotle are arit, meaning a skill that becomes excellent through practice. Virtue ethics begins with the insight what our actions shape our character. What we do determines who we become. Just what we see in these pictures. For example, playing an instrument. The process of achieving this goal is to take action, ask someone for advice, keep practicing, do your best, learn how others did it, build upon your strengths, review and fix mistakes, don't give up until you come up to what you want to become. In this matter, virtues need to be practiced until they become a habit. Strands of virtue ethics. First, compatible with Christian ethics. Second, allows for different virtues to be appreciated at different times. Third, avoids using a formula, focuses instead on what the end goal should be. Fourth, motivates people to be good in every aspect of life is involved. Fifth, whole life process rather than one of situations. Sixth, distinguishes from people that are good and people that follow the law. Weaknesses of virtue ethics. First, doesn't tell you what to do in situations. Second, some critics argues that virtue ethics don't tell you what to do in a crisis because there are not clear set of rules. Third, difficult to see who is virtuous as people may appear as good but have bad intentions.
So, do you believe that everything has a purpose? Now, let's talk about telos. Telos as ends. Telos is a term used by philosopher Aristotle to refer to the full potential or inherent purpose or objective of a person or thing, similar to the notion of an end goal. Telos as end, supreme end of a man's endeavor. So the word can mean reason, purpose, intent, and goal. But usually, Aristotle used it in a specific sense, like why it is created and what's the purpose, why is it made. Just like in human being, why are we born? Why we live in this world? Because we have purpose. For examples, in objects, a mug or a cup. So usually kung pangutan unta unsa ni ang kaning mug or unsa ning butanga atong itubag, a large cup typically or a handle that used without a saucer or gamituno na to para moinom ta og kape. What is really the purpose of it? So mug is used for drinking a coffee. That's the purpose. And now that we finished talking about telos, what is telos as end? So telos means purpose, ends means goal. Virtue as habit. According to Aristotle, virtue is a habit. Ethics is not merely a theoretical study for Aristotle. Unlike any intellectual capacity, virtues of character are dispositions to act in certain ways in response to similar situations. The habits of behaving in a way thus good conduct arises from habits that in turn can only be acquired by repeated action and correction, making ethics can intentionally practical discipline. Aristotle believed that virtue, as a habit, requires an intentional choice when you begin. The habit of virtue is not yet developed, but over time, one becomes used to behaving virtuously, and after a while, one acts virtuously without needing to use volition. You have become virtuous, and it's now part of you and how you act. People do wrong things differently, and this is where you also find mean hard. This one, Aristotle said that finding the mean is hard. It's like hitting a moving target, and it's really complicated. Instead of doing bad habits, you do good habits. Like in sports, you love to do like singing or playing a guitar, reading, and many other. You can develop that and make that as a habit. Like you do it with your previous habits, like in doing ML, you started to feel like it is your happiness, and that is the right thing to do good habits. That is what you call mean, the right thing to do, to balance. Happiness as virtue. Happiness is the meaning and purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence, according to Aristotle. Happiness is not pleasure, nor is it virtue. It is the exercise of virtue. Happiness depends on acquiring a moral character where one displays the virtues of courage, generosity, justice, friendship, and citizenship in one's life. These virtues involve striking a balance or mean between an excess and a deficiency. Aristotle once told us, everyone has its own happiness. He told us that being happy means living well, and living well means virtuously. But there's some problems here. First, we have to sort out what virtue is. What's the right thing to do in a given situations? And secondly, how do we do to be virtuous? Well, as for me, being virtuous is hard to reach. It's hard to achieve. It's hard to do the right thing over and over again. It takes lots of practice until it turned into a habit. And to make you happy, make it as your happiness. Now remember, Aristotle once believes we can make rationally it in a given situation what it is what we want to do. He believes we can deliberate our actions. We can think about things so that our actions have a result or have a good result and make us happy. Happiness is all we live for. The reason why we live. The reason why we all achieve our goals. And according to Aristotle, everything we do in order to make us happy. He also said that in that cases, we can do things well or do things badly. We can do it in two ways, too much or too little. In that case, that's what you find or what you do the appropriate. And this is where the mean comes in. Aristotle said it repeatedly that by finding mean, you do the right thing, the right way, the right time to the right person. But honestly, you can make any of these things wrong. You can make mistakes. We all I can make mistakes. So that's just fine. Example sa happiness. There naakay ka ng igsuon nga giaway sa laing bata. So you can do different things. There are some options to think of or to do. First option, wala ra kay gibuhat. Kay gibuhat sa imuhang para sa imong igsuon. Wa kay gibuhat sa atong nangaway niya. Second option is imong giaway sad ang bata. Imong kuan baron do things physically ba or imo bang kasabaan. In both cases, dili siya good. Both are wrong. You do the wrong things in different ways. Ay sa katong first option nimo nga wala ra kay gibuhat, bad sa to siya, wrong sa to siya nga pagkakuan nimo, pagka decision kay gamay raman imong nabuhat, so wrong yapon, wa nimo gi kuan nimo igsuon banan nya. Sa second option sad kay too much ra pud ka kay kanang way nganong imo matunggi ko ang bata nga the kid just said mean things and imo siyang gi physical. So wrong, too much. Third option ay imong gibuhat kay imo ra silang giistoryahang duha. Imo tong giistoryahan ang katong gibadlong ninyong duha. And that's probably the right thing to do, and that is mean. Finding the intermediate balance things, or finding the proper or the appropriate thing to do. And like for generosity kay lisod jud ang pagpangita sa mean, because surely find the wrong person. This is what Aristotle said, that finding the mean is hard because it's like hitting a moving target, and it's really complicated. For example, sa generosity, kanang imong amiga nga mangutang nimo, imong huna-huna kag pangutana nga first usa nimo nga i-think kay naba kay kwarta, in the position to be generous. Kung naa ka anang duha, then you can harm yourself, or you can make yourself unhappy. And even if you have money, duha-duha sad ka o maghuna-huna ka nga ay bini siyang pa utangon, or unsa ba ni ang iyang buhaton sa sa akong kwarta. That's the really big question. Lending a person more money in order for her to get big debts might actually make him the worst, or make her the worst person. Just the person, but the things she does or he does. So it's really hard to find the right thing, appropriate. Basig lahi pud ang imong pagko sa imong pagkuan niya, pagpautang. So that's really bad